How would you just like describe your childhood?
My childhood?
Yeah.
I grew up with my grandmother. She raised me since I was 2 days old. And I was spoiled, but I was real lucky to have her. I went to school in Lake City, South Carolina. Finished school there. Back then, you didn't have to have your children right there at home all the time to watch them. And when I was 6 years old, I could walk all the way across town to the swimming pool.
Really? Oh.
By myself.
When you were 6?
Yeah. But now you wouldn't dare let your child go
Dangerous.
by itself, even a block away.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't live here in Lenore all your life?
No. I got married right out of high school, and we left Lake City and moved to South Carolina.
Mm.
And Bob was manager of Collins Department Store.
Mm.
We were in Pickens, I guess, about 2 or 3 years.
Mm.
And then went to Mullins, South Carolina, and was there about that length of time. And then moved here. And I didn't want to move here. But after I got here, I love it.
That's good.
This is home.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob had managed Collins Department Store for several years, and they closed all the small stores and wanted him to go to Charlotte to work in the office, but he didn't want to, so we stayed here. And Bob bought Ralph's Triplet Store, and he managed it for several years, and it burned.
Oh, how did that happen?
Well, it caught on fire. I think somebody left a cigarette in the trash can, probably, because a lot of those men in there smoked. Bob didn't, but the other ones did. And after that, he worked at Emmett Stevens Furniture, managed the furniture store for Emmett. And after that, he went to Lenore Golf Club and worked there. Let them in, please. Let's see what we get to.
Oh yes, the store. Did you help him to manage the store too? Did you work there too?
No. During that time, he bought a children's shop. Mm-hmm. He said for me, but I think it was for him. He just wanted me to take care of it. And he played golf every day. Because he was manager, and he just told everybody what to do, and then he went to play golf. But I said, if you do that tomorrow, I'm going to leave this store, and you can take care of it. But he did. He went to play golf, and I left the store.
Did you meet different people, of different diversity groups?
Like what?
Like Hispanics. Did you
Not back then. No.
There weren't a lot?
Not back then. But recently I have. After Bob got sick, we had a man that helped take care of Bob from Peru.
Oh, that's cool.
And we really thought a lot of him. He's just a real fine person. Took good care of Bob, and Bob liked him.
How did you meet Bob?
We went to high school together.
Oh.
And dated in high school, and we got married just right out of high school.
Did you play any sports?
I played basketball.
Oh, that's cool.
Bob played everything. Baseball, basketball, golf. He was a great golfer.
Really?
Yeah, he was. He was a great golfer and loved it. He has many trophies in there in the den.
Cool. Did you go to West Caldwell, South Caldwell, or were those high schools weren't there?
No. I went to high school in Lake City, South Carolina.
Oh.
We moved here in 58. Well, December 57, I think. And, my children went to school right out there at Little Creek Elementary School.
Oh, cool.
Like, did y'all have competition between the high schools, like in your?
Yeah, in sports?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We did.
How was it like? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, how was it like living here in Lenore?
Well, before we moved, Bob had already moved here. And he would call me every night. And one night he said, you ought to see the goats and the cows up here. He said they have 2 legs shorter than the other 2. And I said, what? He said, yeah, it's got so many hills and they walk around on the hills and makes 2 of their legs shorter than the others. And I thought, golly. Because I believed everything he said. But after I got up here, I said, well, show me some of the cows or something that their legs are shorter on one side. And he said, now don't you know I was teasing you?
Do you remember any interesting stories like about Lenore, like something that you experienced?
We didn't have a lot of snow. And then we moved here in the wintertime, and there was lots of snow. We decided one day we were going sledding. So, of course, we had to buy sleds. We had never owned one because there wasn't anything to sled on. And we took it over, let's see, it's Pennell Street. Up the top of Pennell Street.
Oh.
You know how long that hill is?
Yeah.
Well, Bob decided he was going to go down standing up on the sled. He was real athletic, you know. He could do anything. So he stood up on the sled and got about halfway down and went right straight over in that field. About all the skin off of one side of his face.
What did you do for fun here in Lenore?
I played some golf, played cards on, not a lot.
How would you describe the fairs were?
Oh gosh, I can smell the hot dogs now. Hamburgers, those onions. Oh man. Oh, and we used to go to Cedar Rock a lot when it first opened. We'd go out to Cedar Rock, and Bob played a lot out there. And the ladies had one day a week, and they had Ladies' Day at Lenore Golf Club one day a week. So I usually played at both of them.
That's cool. What inspired you to play golf? Yes.
Well, a lot of the girls I knew were playing, and they wanted me to play with them, so that's how.
Yeah, that's a question.
I played golf with Bob maybe 2 times. But the first time I played with him, I had not been playing long. And he said, now wait a minute, let me just show you something. You hold the club like this. And he showed me. And he showed me how I was supposed to swing. He said, now try that. Well, I thought he had moved. So I took the club and I swung it back and hit him right in the head. Well, he said, that's it. I'm not going to play with you anymore. So that was about the last time I think I played golf with Bob.
What are some like family traditions y'all had as like in your childhood? Family traditions.
Of course, we all got together at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and when I was a little girl, we lived in town, but we had a big farm right out of Lake City, and back then some of the kids would steal watermelons out of the fields. You know, they'd just go out in the field and pick them a watermelon. I said, they wanted me to go, and I said, I don't think so. And then I thought, well, I can go to our farm. They'll never know. I said, okay, let me show you where we'll have to go, because they've got good watermelons. So I took them to our farm. So it really wasn't, we had did I tell you we had a swimming pool when I was growing up in Lake City? And I would walk there, and it was probably 2 or 3 miles.
Really?
And probably when I was in the 1st grade. And my mama would let me walk all the way over there. And the other parents too, they would let their children walk to the pool. But now, you can't do the place at the pool where we would shag, you know, in the afternoon and at night, and at the beach. We'd go to the beach a lot. It wasn't far from Lake City to the beach. So when we went to the beach, we'd shag a lot. I see some of the places now that were there when I was growing up. Of course, they've remodeled them and they don't look the same, but
What have you seen changes in the north? Like,
since I've been here, you know, the hospital at Caldwell Memorial, and I've seen so many changes there. They're always getting something new.
Yeah.
Every time I go back, if I go to surgery to see the people I worked with, there's always someone new. I don't think there's maybe but 1 or 2 that was there now when I was there. But something changes all the time. They're getting new doctors and new equipment. And
How was it like working at the hospital?
I loved it. I loved it. They say if you like your job, you don't ever work a day in your life. And that was true. I never hated to go to work. And it was just real good that you like something you do.
That's good.
Right with the doctor.
Oh, you did? How was it like being there with the doctor?
Well, some of them it was just real pleasant. And some of it wasn't so pleasant, but I really got along good with all of them.
You didn't like get scared of the blood and all the stuff that you saw? Like, what kind of operations would they do?
Any kind. Hysterectomies, appendectomies, tonsillectomies. We'd have wrecks come in or gunshot wounds, or if you're on call and it was night, you had to go back if you were on call. But we did a lot of orthopedics and just general surgery and gynecology. I worked a lot in urology, in what they call the sister room. Worked a lot in there.
Did you meet people in there where you were working in there?
Yeah.
Do you still like make contact with those people? Like, still call them and stuff?
Every now and then I'll see someone that I either worked with or patient with a patient. Let's see.
What event do you think shaped you into the person that you are?
That's good. How did you meet the Lord?
Oh, I gave my heart to the Lord when I was a teenager.
That's good. Did something in particular happen so you can get close to him? Door behind Trixie? How did you get Trixie?
Yes. My neighbor across the street got Trixie from the pound when she was not real tiny, but she was little. They had a new baby, and Trixie had been run over. She broke both legs on one side and had both legs in a cast, and they had just had the cast removed, and their little baby, the little child, went up and kind of pushed on her, and she snapped at her. Of course, you know, what dog wouldn't? Mm-hmm. And he picked her up and threw her across the room, and he made the statement he didn't want her anymore. He was going to get rid of her. And I said, well, please give her to me. I'd love to have her. And gosh, she's been the best dog. She's a lot of company. Bob loved Trixie. You knew Bob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1984 is when this paper came out. But it's about the war, different places during the war.
What's it like reading the news about the war?
Not very good. We can't remember, because when I was little, we had gas was rationed, and sugar and butter. Of course, you didn't get butter, you got margarine. Right. And they give you a block of, looked like white lard, and a little pack of yellow powder to mix with it to make it look like butter. But you had, just so many stamps, and you could buy just so much for gas and some food.
There was only like one certain limit that you could spend on everything.
Oh, well, they were little stickers that,
just like a postage stamp.
How a book of stamps looks. You just pull one off. Well, that's what that was. You just pull one stamp off, or two, ever how many it took. And when you used your stamps, you didn't get any more that month. I think some people actually sold their stamps.
Yeah. People that didn't need them would sell them to people that did. My dad was in World War One, and Bob and Arnold were in World War II.
How was it like having your husband in the war?
I wasn't married to him then. He left high school and joined the Navy. And then after the war was over, he came back to school. And what do they call the examination they take, the test? He went to Columbia and stood that test and got his diploma to Newberry in January.
Right.
Before school was out. But he went to Columbia and stood that test, and then went to Newberry.
Yeah. And Newberry was a college. He went to Newberry College, and that was in South Carolina.
So your husbands knew each other?
Her husband was my brother.
Cow Beach. A lot of, there's some advertisement of how much things cost. I want to show you the difference. It was maybe some over here. I believe the difference in the price of things then and now.
Did you ever go to the movie theaters?
Did I what?
To the movie theaters to watch a movie?
Oh yeah. Movie in Lake City, but it was kind of dilapidated.
And then they built another one. But
We used to
it
go
cost
to,
us about 25 cents to go to the movie.
well, when I was younger,
When
it
you were
was
young,
it was
even cheaper
9
than that.
cents.
Yeah, 9 cents.
You guys still have to do that where you get your car and you watch the movie like on the
Oh
screen.
yeah, drive in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have drive-in theaters. Yes.
Did you like that better than the movie theaters now?
I didn't. One other thing we had the milkman came by and left our milk on the steps
Oh.
in glass
Mm-hmm.
quart jars. It was pasteurized. Here's a $15 reward. You know, now they put out a $1,000 reward or something like that if you turn in somebody's name that has killed somebody or robbed somebody. Well, here's one that's $15 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of party or parties who broke and entered Smithy's store some time ago. A man's hat, 48 cents to $2.95. Children's shoes, 97 cents. Men's shirts, 97 cents. Ladies' shoes, $1.69 to $2.95. And dresses, $1.94 to $3.95. Can you imagine buying a dress for $3.95? Much less $1.94. I just thought maybe you might like to see the difference in the price. Out at the, I guess it's still called Smith Crossroads, isn't it? Or not? When you're coming in from Hickory at the light,
Oh.
Bush used to have his car place there on the corner. And there was a hotel on the other side of the car place. Then across the road, if you turn left like you were going uptown, right there on the corner on the right, there was a hamburger place. 99-cent hamburger place. I can't remember who gave the lessons, but I had dance lessons. I can't remember where it was. I think at the Armory. And then afterwards we would go to somebody's house and dance. Oh, we thought we were dancing. I'm not sure how much dancing we did.
Y'all used to dance. I can remember y'all dancing.
What kind of dances would you learn?
Jitterbug.
Yeah. And slow dance and jitterbug.
Which one was your favorite?
Jitterbug.
Jitterbug? Yeah. How would you dance the jitterbug? Like, how would you dance it?
Kind of like the shag.
Kind of like the rock and roll dances, but more motion and more fun.
Do you live in Lenore?
With Bob was manager of college. And we came, I told you we went to Pickens from Lake City and then to Mullins and then from Mullins here.
How old were you when you got here?
We came in December of 57, I think. Oh, Bob came in December. We may have come in January, I'm not sure. I was young.
But she wasn't foolish.
What would you do for fun? Like, would you go out to like dances? You did. Would you go out with your friends?
Well, Bob and I did.
What kind of music would you guys listen to?
Like beach music. You know what beach music is? That was what we'd liked.
Who was your favorite artist?
Well, this is not beach music, but I liked Nat King Cole. There was some others.
Between their legs, turn them around. I mean, they had some really fast
That
dance.
was Jitterbug.
That was Jitterbug. But they also blended it with soft music. And that's when they actually held each other when they danced. You know.
They had a lot of what they called musicals back then, and that's when they did have a lot of dancing and singing in the movies. But it also had a storyline.
I'd love to have been able to play a piano, but no, I didn't play any horns or.
Do you remember any like particular recipe or dish that you like absolutely liked, like from your childhood?
Food.
Yes.
Mama used to make a frozen dessert that was so good, and I can't remember. Like an icebox cake, but I can't remember the name of it. It was vanilla something, but it was so good. And I love barbecue. In South Carolina, they have big pits, and they don't as much now as they did when I was growing up. But they'd have a big pit dug in the yard with the like fencing, the wire fencing over it, and they burned the wood separate and then put the coals in the pit. And then put the pig on top of the wire. And they'd sit up all night cooking that pig.
It would be
Oh,
like
it
you
was
would go.
good.
Good
And you know
barbecue.
they don't put that sauce on it till it gets done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would like all the neighborhood gather around and eat
Yeah.
the barbecue?
Yeah.
Family get-togethers were much more important in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how far you live away from your home, you're grown where you grew up. You always tried to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you could, sometimes you couldn't, but most of the time. Well, holidays particularly, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, somebody's birthday, but in our case, we had so many kids in the family until you didn't always get home for the birthdays.
Like a story about how it used to be back then in their time and stuff like that. Like,
this was before I was born. My mother was just little. They had horse and buggies they rode in. There wasn't, cars. There may have been some cars, but they had a horse and buggy. After the cars came out, I can remember us going from Lake City to Sumter, which is what, 20, 25 miles?
Maybe 30, something like that. Not far.
It took all day
Mhm.
to go to Sumter and back. It was
20
like
cents a gallon.
17 and 19 cents a
Mhm.
gallon.
really?
And by the time I came along, it was up to 33, and that was ridiculous. It was so expensive.
I remember one time, it was after we had moved to Lenore, we went to Lake City for the weekend, and on the way back, Bob and Cheryl were hollering they were hungry. They wanted something to eat. Well, Bob didn't have any money. I think he had change in his pocket, maybe $1. And he stopped at this old service station and went in and bought 4 pickled eggs.
Oh my goodness.
I think they ate them too. We had one apiece.
For like New Year's Eve and stuff like that, what would y'all do to celebrate the New Year?
we'd party. Oh yeah, somebody would have a big New Year's Eve party and we'd dance. And when it was 12 o'clock, you'd always have whistles and confetti and
Yeah.
all
The
that.
cities would blow the sirens.
Yeah.
Do you have any family heirlooms or keepsakes like that you have, like heirlooms that they've passed down from generations and generations down to you?
Yeah. If some of my grandmothers, I have a teapot. I have 2 teapots. But that's about all I can think of. I've got first.
I know something that Dad made for you that you have.
A squirrel
Mm-hmm.
out of a
Peach seed.
seed.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
He carved it out of a peach seed for her. He made all of us girls one, and I lost mine.
Oh, out of a peach seed, you know.
Honey.
And it looks just like a squirrel.
Yeah, absolutely.
White Christmas is still.
Still showing on TV just about every Christmas.
classic now.
Do you still, did you ever get started on a particular like skill or tradition that you do?
I made some quilts.
That's cool. How did you get started?
I had seen other people do them and I wanted to do something.
What's like most important to you right now?
You mean a thing?
Or a person, or
The Lord.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Well, you can look around her living room and her house. Go look at her refrigerator, and you will see dozens of pictures of her family. Her husband, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren.
You know, Tracy's 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest one was misbehaving and she said, Drew, you know Santa Claus is watching you. And he stopped and he put his hands on his hip and he said, Jesus is watching.
What would you give us advice?
If there's something you really want out of life, that you really want to do, work at it. You can do it. You just have to work at it. If there's something you want to be, work at it. Don't give up. My generation, there was a lot of drugs and alcohol. Don't you agree?
And the people that participated in those things were not accepted as.
Well, even before your time, though,
Oh, yeah.
back when I was in school, there just wasn't any.
No.
And I was thankful.
That and the fact that you really respected authority. I mean, you learned from the elders, and you listened to what they had to say. And sometimes you do things you shouldn't do. Of course, nobody's perfect, but you were well aware of what was right and what was wrong. They made sure you knew that.
Have you seen a lot of changes from then and now?
Oh, yes. Everything. You know, everything. It's changed. It changes every day. You can.
Well,
travel and all the roads are different.
Absolutely. And can you remember getting your first telephone? Your first TV?
I can remember when I was a little girl, there was one house that they had a phone.
Mhm.
The people that lived there had a phone. You get the operator, and then you told the operator what number you wanted, and the numbers were like 10 or 17.
I remember when our phone number was 573. That was our phone. And you had party lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a party line is?
Oh no.
That's where you have a phone in your house. Now, I was 14 before we got our first phone.
Mm.
You have a phone in your house, and your neighbor had a phone in their house, and the neighbor
Their
across the
neighbor
street
had.
had a phone in their house, but you were all connected to the same line.
And you might pick up the phone to use it, and you'd hear somebody else.
Talking.
And you were
Okay.
supposed to hang up until they got through, and then you could pick it up later and use it. We don't, either one of us do computers. Do you do computers? Because we just weren't brought up with that technology, you know.
And read.
That's probably one of the biggest things, is the advanced technology that you have available to you. And you take it for granted because you've always had it. And for us, it's learning something brand new.
And the tragic thing is that you have, by the computer, you could talk to somebody in India
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere. You can contact the entire globe, and yet we have some of the loneliest people in the history of this nation. Because everybody's accessible, but nobody's accessible. They don't meet face to face. There's the lack of trust. There's so much fear. Yeah, so the technology is advanced beyond our ability to catch up with.
It's good and bad at the same time.
Absolutely. Everything is like a two-edged sword. You can use it for good,
Sorry.
you can use it for bad. So it's a balance. Life's like a dance. It's a
Shirley, how
balance.
old were y'all when you got your first car? Were you and Bob married before you got a car?
Oh gosh, yeah. Cheryl was probably 4 years old
Wow.
before Bob worked at the Bubba Cash at the dry cleaners.
Uh-huh.
That was before we went to Collins.
You have any brother or sisters?
I had one brother, but like I told you, my grandmother raised me, and my brother lived with my mother and daddy in Spartanburg. I lived with them for 2 winters, the 4th and the 5th grade.
Did you like it? How many daughters and sons do you have?
I have 2 sons and 1 daughter. Both of my sons live here, and my daughter lives in right out of Charleston.
Oh, does she like Charleston?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you regret not doing?
That I would like to have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of places I'd like to have traveled. I didn't, and I can't now. But,
Where have you traveled?
my best trip was Israel and Jordan, Hawaii, several of the different islands, like what's the name of some of the islands?
Bermuda and those. Bermuda?
Yeah, I went there.
If you could travel anywhere, where would it be?
I'd like to go back to Israel.
Israel, you liked it a lot there?
Mm-hmm.
What did you like the most about Israel?
Just seeing where Jesus had been, where he walked, and different places that you read about in the Bible.
That's cool.
It was just really, it was probably the best trip I think I'd ever been on.